Just like Draymond, we thought he and Jordan Poole had moved on from their beef. But now, new fight footage of Draymond and Jordan has surfaced that changes everything. And what it reveals about Steve Kerr's role will blow your mind. Let me break it down. The shocking revelation. For over 2 years, we thought we knew the story of Draymond Green punching Jordan Poole during that October 5th, 2022 practice. We saw the TMZ footage, heard the apologies, watched the fallout unfold in real time. But the bombshell revelations that have emerged paint a completely different picture. One where the Golden State Warriors head coach Steve Kerr orchestrated one of the most devastating betrayals in NBA history. The smoking gun comes from recently resurfaced clips and insider testimonies that reveal a sinister pattern of manipulation dating back over a year before the punch heard around the world. Here's what really happened. Steve Kerr, the same coach who had been punched by Michael Jordan during his own playing days, deliberately set up his own player to get punched in the face. The newly revealed evidence proves that Kerr encouraged Jordan Poole to confront Draymond Green, knowing full well what the volatile veteran's response would be. This wasn't coaching. It was calculated manipulation that prioritized some unknown agenda over the well-being of his players. Age 33, 34, or 35, I still learned those lessons. That situation happened, I'm like, alright, cool, we was on. And then when we couldn't, I was like, huh? And for a while, it made me think like, man, this dude nothing like me. The newly revealed timeline paints a picture of systematic intimidation and manipulation that makes Game of Thrones look like a children's bedtime story. It all started much earlier than anyone realized, with verbal threats and confrontations dating back to November 2021 when Green allegedly told Poole during a timeout against the Minnesota Timberwolves, "I'ma beat the out of you. I will you up." But here's where it gets truly diabolical. According to the explosive new revelations, Steve Kerr, the same coach who had been punched by Michael Jordan during his own playing days, knew exactly what buttons to push and when to push them. After the Warriors' preseason trip to Japan in 2022, when Green was publicly criticizing Poole for failing to outperform the first unit in scrimmages, Kerr made his move. The coach who should have been de-escalating the situation instead pulled Poole aside and delivered what can only be described as a calculated provocation. Stand up for yourself. Be a man. Think about the calculated cruelty of those words. Kerr, having experienced the humiliation of being physically dominated by a teammate firsthand, essentially programmed Poole to trigger the exact response that would end his Warriors' career. This is the Draymond situation. He apologized and I'm professional. We plan on handling ourselves that way. We're here to play basketball and everybody in the locker room and on our team knows what it takes to win a championship. What happened next reads like a Shakespearean tragedy scripted by Machiavelli himself. Poole, emboldened by his coach's encouragement, and fresh off a dominant scrimmage performance where he had finally outplayed the veterans, decided to test his newfound confidence. During the next practice session, when Green continued his pattern of verbal harassment, Poole delivered the line that would end everything. "You know what it is, Draymond. You're an expensive backpack for 30. The mathematical precision of this insult cannot be overstated. Poole didn't just call Green a role player. He specifically referenced Stephen Curry's jersey number, implying that Green was nothing more than an accessory carried by the team's true superstar. For someone of Green's pride and defensive mentality, this wasn't just trash talk, it was psychological warfare targeting his deepest insecurities about his place in the Warriors' hierarchy. Green's response was swift and devastating. The TMZ footage that leaked days later shows the culmination of months of orchestrated tension. Green called Poole out, Poole pushed back, and then came the right hook that would reverberate through the entire NBA landscape. But here's what makes this revelation so explosive. Draymond Green himself has called cap on these latest rumors, posting 6 cap emojis on social media to indicate the expensive backpack story is false. However, multiple sources in the detailed timeline suggest there's more truth to these accounts than Green wants to admit. I watched the video. I'm looking at the video and I'm like, yo, this looks awful. Like, this looks even worse than I thought it was. It's pathetic. No. And then I had to take a step back too and realize the implications of Kerr's manipulation extend far beyond a single practice altercation. This was a coach who understood the psychological dynamics of his team better than anyone, yet chose to weaponize that knowledge in a way that would ultimately destroy the very chemistry he was supposed to protect. By encouraging Poole to stand up to Green, knowing full well Green's history of volatility and physical intimidation, Kerr essentially loaded the gun that would shoot down his own team's championship aspirations. What makes this betrayal even more sinister is the timing. Poole was on the verge of signing his extension, representing the future of the franchise's two-timeline strategy. Green, meanwhile, was facing uncertainty about his own contract situation. Kerr had to know that encouraging this confrontation during such a delicate period was playing with dynamite near an open flame. I think in the very first few minutes, you're initially upset, pissed off, which is why you have the reaction you have. And so I think in the first minute just upset, like kind of not thinking about much except for what just happened. The psychological profile that emerges from this new information reveals Kerr as a master manipulator who understood exactly how to push both players toward a collision course. He knew Green's trigger, challenges to his authority, questions about his value to the team, and particularly any suggestion that he was riding Curry's coattails. He also knew Poole's insecurities, his need to prove himself among the veterans, his desire for respect, and his growing confidence as a key contributor to the championship team. By positioning himself as the voice encouraging Poole to be a man, Kerr created a perfect storm of